Welcome to Sales Warrior War Room. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Sales Warrior War Room. Really stoked this morning. We got a really special guest coming to us. She's a real estate agent from the great state of Texas. Tanya Vargo, say to everybody, it's Sales Warrior War Room.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Tanya. I mean, I've been watching you on Facebook and I'm pretty analytical. And I think you're kind of the epitome of like a sales warrior because like you're not just like in one little game, you're in like a whole bunch of sales games. And like most people in sales, I think for the most part are like more like one thing. They can do like one thing. And it's pretty cool. I think it really probably expands on your skill set. The fact that you're able to sell and do so many different businesses. A lot of people are not that talented. But
there's a word for it. It's flexible. What is the word? Pliable? No, it's got to do with plastic. I can't think of it. But
don't worry about it. It's early in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
All good.
So if you can sell one thing, you can sell anything. It's the same process.
Yeah. You know, that's what I had to tell people because I went from industrial chemical sales to software sales. And I got like stymied every step of the way as I tried to get these gigs because they're like, well, you've never sold technology.
Yeah. Everybody thinks their mom is the best mom, right?
Yeah.
And you can't criticize their mom,
right?
Right. So no matter if I was selling gym memberships or, luxury homes or luxury cars, things like that, everybody thinks their process is the best or their product is the best, and you have to be superior in some way to sell their product. Right. And I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's a rubber stamp deal. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if you're selling ad space in your student directory at school or you've got a multi-million-dollar property. You're going through the exact same process. People, no matter what. And that's it.
Yeah. No, that's great. So I know you're originally from Ontario. So like, as you think about like why you went into sales originally, can you kind of walk us through like how you ended up in like a sales career?
Yeah, it was always what I did, right? And so it's kind of funny you're asking that question because I was thinking about it a couple of days ago because I was like, what is your problem? What is your problem? Why don't you leave this?
Right.
There's days like that. And, as a kid, of my siblings, I was the one on the corner with the lemonade stand. I was the one, dumping change out of jars and counting it and stuff like that. That's just who I was. My siblings wanted the money, right? And the sharing it, but they wanted no part on sitting on the corner doing a lemonade stand, which is the vast majority of human beings on planet Earth.
Right.
But I would say I was kind of born like that. And then, that led me to think about when I was in high school, I was on drill team and we had a $450 quota we had to meet every year in order to try out for officer for the following year. There was rules with it and everybody had this quota no matter what, but you really couldn't move on if you didn't complete it.
Right.
And so I'm new from Toronto down
Yeah.
here, going to Sharpstown High School in Houston.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm like, how am I going to do this? Like, my parents do not have the money like some of these other girls where they could just write a check or whatever and
Yeah.
be done with it. So, I had to figure it the frick out. And so I was flipping through the previous year's yearbook, and I saw like that the yearbook had ads in it. So I called all the people that were already advertising in the yearbook. And
I like it.
I got advertising for our student directory, which our team put out, right? And so, of course, the yearbook committee and we started earlier than the yearbook committee because our season starts in the summer, right?
Okay.
And then the yearbook committee starts, at the beginning of school, I guess. And so they came, after the second year I did it, they came down pretty hard on whoever is doing this. And so I came home one day, and my mom and my stepdad were home, and we were talking about drill team, and I was like, yeah, the yearbook committee, we got in trouble today, and we're not allowed to call the ads in the yearbook. And my mom was like, well, who would do that? Who's doing that?
Right.
Well, what happened was, and my dad was like,
okay.
Sales background, and he's like, she's fine. Let it
That's
go.
awesome. I love it. I love it.
So that was just, that's just kind of how it all happened. And,
yeah.
I was in college. I got pregnant with my first daughter when I was 18, and I had her when I was 19. So I kind of started putting her first, right? So finishing school just wasn't an option, and I had to get jobs and things like that. And my first major sales job was at Valley Total Fitness, selling gym memberships.
Okay.
And then I sold cars at BMW of Houston North, and I went back to nursing school. And
I saw that in your profile that you did. Did you finish nursing school?
No, I did my first year, and what happened was the BP oil spill happened at the time, and my triplets were like 2 or 3 years old. And my ex-husband was really involved in that. He was the regional manager for the Gulf of Mexico at that time for Halliburton. So he was teaching Halliburton's attorneys what happened. And he actually was the one that discovered it was the annulus that had a problem with BP. So that as soon as he figured that out, Halliburton pulled him, like quarantined him from transit to BP. Everybody, they were in their own war rooms. And he was just gone. He was just gone for 4 years, right? Until it was done. And so he was kind of famous in the oil field at that time. So it was difficult for him to come home and be regular, and be a regular human being, right?
Yeah.
So, we ended up having to move back to Houston. And when I came back, Texas, because I was going to school in Louisiana.
Okay.
I went to UL for nursing school. And when I came back to Texas, they wanted me to retake all my biologies. And I was like, I'm already in nursing school. So it was a little bit egotistical. There are days I question this rationale, but I was arrogant, and I was like, I'm not redoing my prerequisites for nursing when I'm already in nursing school. So, it was ego, it was anger, and I was like, I'll just be a realtor. I love watching.
Okay, because that's going to be my next question. How you ended up being in real estate?
I would watch Frederick Eklund. He was my most favoritist on $1 Million Listing New York, and I was like, I love that dude. I love him,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so that's actually how I ended up meeting Ryan Stewman. I was one of the very, first round of people that signed up for those classes that he was running.
Oh,
And
okay.
then Ryan became he really became one of my personal coaches. I was in hardcore.
Okay.
I was in hardcore closer before it was all Apex and
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he had
Interesting.
Break Free Academy. That
Yeah.
had started I think it started after hardcore closer, and because he needed a place to put people after,
Okay.
I can't remember, but he's always
All
kind of.
good.
So that is the story.
I like it. I like it. You find that I find that with a lot of my guests on the Sales Warrior War Room, like a lot of people, you don't go to college and you don't like graduate high school going, I'm going to sell cars. I'm going to be the regional director for sales for a pipeline company.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you don't go around the room and say that when you're saying like what you want to be when you grow up, until you grow up and you're like, that's how you make money. Like
It is
you
how you
either
make
own a
money.
business or you sell somebody else's stuff that owns a business. That's the only way to really make money, in my
It
opinion.
is. And it's unfortunate. Like I'll be 48 in August. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see like the ADD is going to be called early onset Alzheimer's soon, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it really is the only way to kind of get ahead. You can be a hamster on the wheel the rest of your life unless you're investing or you're selling something.
Right.
That's just the God's honest truth.
That is.
And it's unfortunate that so many people think it's a scam, and when you're trying to help people and teach them and coach them, and I'm like, to find something, a product you like that you're passionate about and go do that, because a lot of us really screwed up in real estate for the previous 2 years if we didn't have multiple streams of income. And so that's where a lot of my other businesses were born, because me being in a fragile state that I was, because my daughter had a daughter that had a rare form of cancer called HLH, and she was getting chemotherapy. I took a lot of time off. I missed that big boom that everybody got to take advantage of. I might have had 3 or 4 months of the good fun time. And then they made the interest rate 7%. And then it just I lost my clients right then. And I had to regroup.
When you think about real estate, because I wanted to concentrate on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like when you're really like selling a lot of houses, I imagine you go through like an amazing process to, take the client, where they need to go and spend a lot of time with them. I think a lot of people in sales, and I say this a lot when either I'm interviewed on a podcast or we do our podcast, because like I think like one of the things that really makes like what I would call a sales warrior is somebody that like spends a lot of time up front really understanding what's important to somebody, so that they don't just arbitrarily show them something they're probably not going to be interested in, just waste their time. I imagine you got a really strong process. Can you kind of walk through that a little bit? I think that'll be really helpful for the struggling salesperson that's just like, I sell houses. Yeah, that's great. But like nobody buys a house, they buy a home. But go ahead.
You are right about that. Nobody buys a house, they buy a home, right? And so that is a process. For me, it was trial and error, because I'm so easygoing. And when you learn that other people aren't so easygoing, and you fall into the, oh, well, everybody must be like me. No, they're not, So,
that's a good point you're bringing up, though. That is a really good point that points to people skills, is that everybody wants to believe everybody's like everybody, like you. Like we're all egocentric. So like if I'm gregarious, I figure like everybody's probably gregarious. Or if I'm analytical, everybody's analytical. But everybody's got their own personality. So you got to like sell to their own personality. But keep going. I like where this is going.
Yeah. So it was live and learn, a lot of it. And having to read a lot about personalities
Yeah.
and why people react the way they do. And a lot of it was my own internal work
Hmm.
that was born from me learning, the different types of people. And you can take DISC assessments. I think that's
Hmm.
the Anthony Robbins one, right? And there's a couple of others where you can learn how different people are and kind of put
Hmm.
them into the 4 different categories
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
probably are. And so if they're giving you some feedback that's more analytical, then you're going
Hmm.
to show them numbers and you're going to
Yeah.
show
Right.
them
Yeah.
the distance of things and how far it is to work and the convenience and the square footage and the price per square foot and things like that. And then if you're dealing with somebody that's just like, I want to feel at home, then you talk to them about, well, how do you feel in this room? Could you, see
Right. I like
yourself
it. Yeah.
cooking in this kitchen and entertaining people? Like, what do you think you're
Yeah.
going to do at this backyard? What do you see your kids doing back here? Is there enough for room for a pool, or is this pool going to work? Do you guys think you can play games back here and barbecue and things like
Yeah.
that? So I think learning the different personality types and what to address, learning not to talk about something that they're just not interested in. Like if you're analytical, why would I sit there and bother you and overwhelm you with how you feel in the
Yeah.
home?
Right.
It's going to tick you off.
Right. Right. Right.
It's going to
Right.
tick you off. You're going to be like, I
Yeah.
just want to know how much it is, how many square feet, how big's the garage, how
Yeah.
far it is away from work, what's going to be my rate of return in 5 to 7 years if we want to sell it. I'm not going to talk to you about how you feel, so
Yeah. Makes
you
sense.
can really overwhelm and irritate people if you are not, like you said, reading the room, gauging their
Yeah.
personality. It can feel, I
Hmm.
struggled with it a little bit, feeling manipulative, but it's not. It's um, emotional intelligence, honestly. So,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
when
So,
you really figure out you're kind of hurting your client,
right.
if
Right.
you're not addressing their needs, wants, and concerns, then there you
Well,
go.
that brings up a good point. So, like in your process, does the process start immediately face to face, or does it start like over the phone? Like when you get a prospect, what's the first step?
It
And
depends on how they come in. Like some
okay.
people are referrals. So,
Okay.
if it's a referral from a friend, everybody don't do this. It's not always a good idea. But I just meet them up at the house they want to see, and we go from there because everybody
Okay.
doesn't know everybody. So I kind of just give them a little bit of what they want because I'm new. We might have the same friend, but they might have
Hmm.
other friends that are agents, as well. You always come across that. Everybody knows at least 5, 10, 20 of us right now. And
Yeah.
I think um, kind of how the world is right now and even how
Hmm.
they're doing the laws, I think you just have to give the buyer, especially, a little bit of a chance to get to know you before you force them into some of the legal stuff they want us to do right now. And I just
Oh, okay.
that I don't agree with really
Yeah.
a lot of it. Um, if we want to tell the truth. So, I just try to give people a little bit upfront. If it's a lead that comes in from Google or something like that, then
Yeah.
you got to get on the phone as soon as possible, and get an appointment with them face to face as soon as possible, so you become a human being.
I
Because up
like it.
until that point, you're just nothing, right?
Yeah. Right.
You're nothing. And a lot of the time they were doing a search, they don't remember. So if you don't call them while they're searching on your site or through your leads, whatever you have set
Yeah.
up, if you just
Yeah.
call them right then, they'll be like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah. I
Okay,
like
well,
it.
I couldn't call you and I couldn't email you if you didn't get trapped in my funnel.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have to call them right then, and that's the reason why, because they will forget like little beta fish in about 3 minutes, and they'll be like, I wasn't searching for a house. I didn't go on your site. I didn't do anything. I have no recall of this. And I'll be like,
Okay.
would you like
So
to
I'm
see
hearing
it?
a couple of things that I wanted to throw out, just like for the, struggling salespeople out there, but you get a lead, immediacy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a lead, it's hot. And like Tanya's saying, it can go cold very quickly because
3 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, squirrel.
Yeah, and on top of
They even
it,
clicked on a house.
yeah, and then I've gone through doing leads years and years ago from like Realtor.com and things like that.
Yeah.
When we was on a team that had those, you're talking about everybody's investing. A lot of people are investing from that, and a lot of people, 30% of their business comes from calling leads like that.
Yeah.
And so they'll have 10 agents calling them. So you have to outlast, outplay all of those agents or get
Okay, so I want to talk about this because this is like super, super important. And I think it's lost on a lot of salespeople because I hear a lot of goodness about like your process. But the thing I really want to key in on is like, okay, you're meeting somebody at the door. You're trying to differentiate yourself in the marketplace from every other agent or like you had mentioned, the 10 plus folks that we know that sell houses. So what's that sound like when you say, hey, my name's Tanya Vargo? What do you say?
So like when a lead comes in?
Well, so maybe it's when a lead comes in, like a lot of times this day and age, they call it like your unique value.
Oh, your value proposition.
Yeah. Like how you differentiate yourself, like how they're going to start viewing you differently than somebody else that's doing exactly the same thing.
I've learned to not do that. Right.
Okay. All right.
So,
okay.
Yeah. I think the quicker you have to adapt in this, and you have to kind of know when to push yourself ahead and not push yourself ahead, because everybody is doing the salesperson thing now. I would say 10, 13 years ago, it was all about your value proposition. And this is what I do. And I've sold this many homes, and I've been in real estate this many years. And that used to add value or merit or put you
right.
It doesn't. Giving them what the F they want does.
Okay. Right? Okay. So you're focused on them.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay. I like it. So it's more of a needs analysis, which is probably what I thought your process was going to be.
Yeah, it's a needs analysis. So, what kind of home you're looking for? Why is that important to you? How many children?
I like it. Discovery questions.
That's it. Because, and a lot of that was live and learn too, because I had a criteria that was important to me. So every time I would meet some people, I would assume they wanted to live in the best school district. They wanted to go to a specific school. They wanted all these. Everybody doesn't care about that. Some people want, the best place that they can afford, that might be close to work, might not be close to work. Price might be the most important thing to them. So that was part of my learning process too, was mistake. The assumption that, everybody's looking to live in the best school district and go to the best schools. And if they had a lot of kids, like that was my mentality. But, that's not the case.
Well, and you brought up something, so I didn't want to like swing by this too quickly, because I think this is lost on a lot of like beginner salespeople, maybe even salespeople have been doing it a long time. But you said a driver. So like somebody said, hey, I want to make sure we're in like a 3,000 square foot home in a good school district. And then you're like, oh, tell me why that's important to you. Like the reason why that this feature or benefit is important to them, that's going to go to the emotional reason that they're going to pull the trigger on a home, not just the analytical or logical reason. Oh, well, this is the best school district in Houston, metropolitan area, but they could have grown up in like a bad area or had, there could be some real underlying reason why a school district is important to them. Maybe they have a genius child that they want to have like the best opportunities and what have you.
Right. And I was exactly that example. I went to Sharpstown High School, not known for being, it's notorious high school.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, it's very notorious in Houston.
Yeah.
So, we had every gang there and stuff like that. And I never wanted my kids to experience that.
Of
And,
course not.
I had ADD, and I think, thank God we were in the KD school system with our kids. And that's what I chose, because we have one daughter that's autistic, and my oldest, she had ADD. And so I learned like a lot about myself going through her process, but she was a genius. She tested out at genius levels, but had ADD and was performing under in school. So it was self-esteem stuff that we had to work through.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's just, that ended up being incredible for us. And that is why it's important to me. And that's why it's an emotional thing as well as a political thing. So yeah, I am that example.
Okay. So I can see that. And the other things that I'm hearing from you are some like minor yeses too. Like, what do you want to go look at? Like, you're already leading them down the path that's going to ultimately lead them to buy a home.
Sure. The more yeses they say, the more yeses they say, the higher the chance you are going to close something. So
absolutely, somebody shaking like this is more than likely going to say yes. It's that's like combative salespeople don't understand that. What's that?
I said, that's important to you, right?
I like it. Yeah, that's a tag question. Like you're tagging on an agreement at the end of your statement, which is I can't remember what those are called exactly.
Tie downs. Tie
down. Yes. That's out of Tom Hopkins' book.
Yeah, isn't it? 3 tie downs and close, 3 tie downs and close, 3 tie downs.
Yeah,
and close.
Yeah.
There's a guy. He actually worked for Ryan about 6 years ago, and I was on his team at EXP for a year or so, and he was the best at tie downs close. And I'd listen to him as like he was training, and I'd be like, 1, 2, 3, close. 1, 2.
Oh, really? I like it.
He was methodical, very methodical at it, and I loved it. Like, I loved watching him, and I kind of threw him off one day, and I was like, 3 tie downs and close, huh? Tie down, and he goes, stop. Right. Because I think after a while you get used to your process, right? And then you don't even know you're doing it anymore. But I poked at him, I was like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Something to be said for that. So like, this is my favorite. Yeah. What's that?
He's amazing. Yeah.
Is he? Oh, good. So this is one of my favorite minor closes or minor yeses, or just kind of like, I say, tell me, how does this resonate? As I describe this to you, tell me, how does this resonate with you? And then I'm just quiet and I just listen to them tell me why they want to buy it.
Yeah. They talk themselves into buying it themselves, right? You're not doing anything. They close themselves.
Exactly.
And you're like,
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And they love it too, because they get to talk, and it's so natural, and it's so like not like real salesy. Like, hey, just tell me how this resonates with you. I hear you doing some like voice inflection. Am I saying that right? Voice inflection.
Yeah. I think it is voice inflection and pitch.
Inflection. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, I'm a country boy. I might say it wrong, but I think that's so important, and that's lost on a lot of people, because a lot of people are like monotone when they talk to the other human beings, and a lot of people are not using their voice the way it could be used to gain agreement. And like you brought up tie downs, that's a great example, but then also just like the way you say something, like just then I kind of like said something that sounded like a question, like.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always, anybody will say, any sales training I've gone through by anybody, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
And my mom, she would say, because I was always so blunt.
Yeah.
And it was alarming to her.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can call a spade a spade. You don't have to call it an effing shovel, Tanya. So that was kind of
okay.
That was another learning thing I had to learn. I really had to learn my words and how to finesse things. And Thank God we have Chat GPT right now.
I know. I love Chat GPT. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to say this, but how do you
Right. Yeah.
say it professionally, you know? And
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
that genius helps me every day. So
So you mentioned Ryan Stewman, and of
mhm.
course we're in Apex together. But so who else has been like a mentor to you? Not necessarily like a face-to-face mentor, but maybe like a famous like mentor. And I won't name any names because I don't want to give away because I'm just asking you this, so I don't know. But what books have you read and things like that on sales that you find are like really helpful?
All of them.
Okay, all right.
You know, like there's all kinds of, I probably need to go grab my everything off my desk right now.
Yeah.
So 7 Levels of Communication is really good. The question behind the
Stephen
question.
Covey. Is that Stephen Covey?
I never remember the author's names.
Okay.
We can Google it. So
Oh,
the
no
7,
worries, no worries. I was just wondering. I think of myself as being well read, so I was just like asking.
that's a popular one. The
Yeah,
question behind the question.
I love that. I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, that's so important. Getting to their why and stuff like that. Um,
Yes.
there's some I'm just forgetting the names of, but even things like the magic of thinking big, like
I
that's
love that. I've read that.
important. I had serious self-esteem problems when I first started in real estate because
Hmm.
selling homes, it's a big item and
And
it's a lot of
stressful,
right?
like
Pardon
super
me?
stressful, like
Yeah.
very
Well,
stressful.
I had no idea. Like, I just thought it was cool to go in people's houses. I didn't realize, like, if I didn't just say, I didn't realize people hated realtors either because I loved all mine. But
Ah, okay. I didn't know that.
when
I'm learning
I,
something. So
yeah,
people
I
don't
loved
like
all,
realtors.
pardon me?
People people don't like realtors. I've never heard that before, but I believe you.
Oh, yeah, we're right there with attorneys, I think. Right there with attorneys.
So attorneys, dentists, and realtors, people
Oh,
hate them.
yeah. Anybody that's ever had an expired listing or a terminated listing, they're not fans
Ah, okay.
of us, you know?
Yeah.
Um, where was I going? Oh, so, you know, anything to help your self-esteem, anything to, you know, I think Think and Grow Rich is one that I've bought like 10 billion times. Like I probably have a bunch of copies of it, either
Yeah, I
digitally
have
or
that. Yeah,
physically.
that's a great
But
book.
everybody says that book is good. I haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't, and I
Okay.
wish
Well, you
I
got
had.
time. I think it was written in like 1938, so you got
Well,
time.
that's the same. It's the same as like How to Win Friends and Influence People,
I
right?
have that.
I still like I've
Oh, you
started it
haven't read
a
that?
bunch of time. I'd probably be further ahead in life without trial and error if I had actually, you know, sat down and read it. But it's that same type of thing where it's one of
Yeah.
those classic books that lasts forever. And anybody that reads it gets benefit from it. So one day,
It's
um,
all good. You can also do audiobook though, like, while you're going to a listing or whatever, you can just
yeah,
throw on
except that
audiobook.
Andy Frisella messed my head up, you know.
Okay.
It's like audiobooks don't count. Audio. So then, you know, have you done 75 Hard or done that yet?
No, no. I think I'm too old to know some of this stuff like 75 and hard,
It's
but
only since COVID, maybe. I'll
is
send
that what
you.
it's been going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I've heard it. I figured Ryan came up with it, but I don't know. Did he come up with
No,
75?
Andy Frisella, who is one of his
Oh, okay.
friends, is uh, the owner and designer of that thing, and it's a completely free. It's to develop mental toughness.
Oh, okay. I
So
like that.
he has you. You know, you have to read 10 minutes a day. You have to work out twice a day. One of them has to be outdoors. Um,
Okay.
there's like a system, and it's about
Yeah.
5 or 6 things, and you have to get these things done every day. And if you miss one of them, and one of them is drinking, I think it's a gallon of water. And so
Okay.
you don't get your gallon of water in, or you don't take your selfie, you got to start all over to day
Start
one.
all over. Okay. Interesting.
And
Okay.
so he has you do the progress selfie so that you can see the physical difference in yourself
Yeah.
while you're developing this mental toughness.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, yeah, I got to like 45 days and I got busted for a selfie and I was like, I'm tough. I don't.
Okay. All right.
I'm not going to cry over a selfie. But yeah, so it's a good thing if you just totally need a challenge in your life. I think if you put yourself up for 75 hard, it kind of mentally, emotionally, and physically gets you together. If you're in a space where you need a challenge or to rule your life in, honestly.
Yeah. I like the concepts big time. Sounds a lot like Amway.
Really?
Yeah, because when I was in Amway years ago, it was like really a good thing for me, even though like I wasn't that successful in Amway. But anyway, I learned a lot. They had you read 30 minutes a day, a self-help book. They promoted like healthy eating. I don't know that they promoted exercise per se. I don't remember that, but I do remember like 30 minutes of listening to a positive motivational tape, 30 minutes of reading. And they even had a term like readers or leaders or leaders or readers.
Readers or leaders for sure.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm already an avid reader, so that wasn't hard at all for me to like jump on. But I like the idea of this systematic approach to success, like getting the building blocks of things and looking at it holistically. I like that a lot. So
yeah, I had
like a great program.
Yep, it's a fan, and it's free. And so even when you're trying to like get other people to do it, it's horrible because they think it's a scam or whatever. I'm like, it's free.
Yeah.
And it helps you.
Yeah.
But this is where we live now. This is
right.
Ozempic and HCG shots are real, and health and fitness is a scam, so.
Well, and I think we're talking about, as we talk about the 75 and hard, I think we're talking about like the mental game of sales.
Yes.
It's all about like, you got to have mental toughness to survive in the mental game of sales. And this is probably like a hardcore thing to say to people that are going to watch this podcast or listen to this podcast. But I actually had two friends of mine who I was on a sales floor with years ago, like in the mid 90s, early 2000s, like maybe 2000. One of them was like 2000. Maybe one of them was like 2007 or something like that. Both of them shot themselves. Both of these guys that like I worked with. So they didn't like just like take a whole bunch of sleeping pills or whatever and end it all. They literally both picked up revolvers and blew their brains out. So when I talk about like the mental side of sales, it's a serious conversation for me because I've worked with people that like took their own life because they didn't put like something like you're saying, mental toughness in place. And they didn't have like a way to manage through the ups and the downs of a sales career.
Yeah, that's exactly why Andy Frisella created it. He actually sells, he's the owner of First Forum, the supplements. And if you see him, he's got a beard and things like that, so you won't notice. But I read his book, and apparently he has I can't remember what from because I read the book a couple of years ago. But he's got a scarred and damaged face from something happening to him. And so when he had clean shaven face and stuff like that, he felt like he couldn't sell anymore. And then if somebody was abusive enough, it threw him, and so he had to develop mental toughness. And so he created 75 Hard, and he sells like First Form's his company, and he has Arete, like Ryan has Apex and stuff like that. I think Arete is his. So it was all a part, and it was that exact kind of thing. It's like either I overcome this and I use it to my advantage and I don't become a victim, of it. Pass or fail, succeed or
Yeah.
lose.
Both of these guys were successful salespeople too. Both of them I worked with. And I'll be honest, I was a little jealous of both of them actually, because I was
Yeah.
like, how can that guy be so happy? Like I'd go over to his house on a Saturday and he'd be lighting candles and making himself breakfast. And I'd be like, God, that guy is like, I don't have any other friends that are that happy on a Saturday. And he's just so happy go lucky and everything. And what I found out when I went to one of their wakes in Dallas, a bunch of his ex-girlfriends were there and everything. And a bunch of his, like, I was a friend, but I wasn't like in his inner circle friend.
Right.
Like I was a friend, but I wasn't like, he wasn't comfortable enough to me to like really tell me what goes on with him. And so what I saw was the high on the manic side, and he was a manic depressive, and I never knew that. But both of his girlfriends and his dad, and when they spoke at his thing or whatever, they were talking about like, yeah, he'd go through times where he'd just be really down, and I'm like, I never witnessed that.
Yeah.
But to find that out was really wild.
Well, sales is a beacon to risk takers, and there's a lot of personality disorders that enjoy risk, right?
Yeah.
So even when dealing with your other salespeople,
Yeah.
you kind of identify who they are right away.
Yeah.
Some of the people, they have learned to put the mask on and they cope during the day, and you don't know what goes on at night.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know this individual at all. I always thought, man, one day if I could ever get that happy, that would just be so. If I could get like 80% as happy as that guy,
I know. Well, and that's crazy, right? And that's one of the things in my coaching program, my Mind, Body, and Soul Mentor program. It's like, you don't want to wish for somebody else's place, because you don't know. You don't know. And I've made
I know.
doing that and energetically calling in some stuff I really didn't want in my life, because one of my other mentors at the time, Ryan was my mentor, was Marcy Locke. And she has a more spiritual company now, but back then it was a mental and physical coaching, and I went through her program. So I attribute both of them to where I am now, and they're in my head all the time, whether they know it or not. But I was like, man, I want to be like her. I want to be able to say my words like her. I want my body to look like hers, and then I found myself tracking a lot of the issues that happened to her very shortly after, and I was even silly enough, when you write out affirmations and things like that, I wanted the body of health that Marcy Locke has. I wanted the body of health and I really just meant her body fat percentage and things like that.
Yeah.
She's been through some really hard crap, and I ended up doing some of the exact same really challenging things she went through very shortly after. And so, you don't want to wish for other people's lives, because most of them have a big old fat mask. I think, even for me, it's, I think looking at my social media, a lot of people think like I'm outgoing and I'm gregarious and things like that. And I'm not.
You're not? Okay.
I'm a hermit.
I
don't really go out much. It takes a lot to get me to go out of the house. And then even if I go to events, I'll be nice and friendly to people I know, but I'm really shy. Like for me to go up to somebody and be like, hi, I'm Tanya Bargo. I want to buy a house. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Okay.
What do you do for a living? It really does have to be, the one-on-one sales process, or my friends are usually the chatty Cathys, the controlling chatty Cathys. And I'm just here for the drinks tonight. I'm the wingman. Like, that's really who I am in life. Nobody really expects that. So you don't want to believe the masks at all. I'm never what people expect either. Like,
right.
You're like, I thought she would talk more. Does she hate me? No.
Right, right.
I'm just not selling you something.
Sure, sure.
You
Yeah,
know?
no, I like it. Uh, so I got to tell you this story just because you made me think of it while we're talking, and I just saw the latest Tom Cruise movie.
Oh,
So back in the day, we had a friend of ours. He might even like watch this or listen to this. He's a guy I went to college with, and looked just like Tom Cruise. I mean, he looked just like Tom Cruise, and but he was a an electrical engineer at Texas Instruments,
mhm.
and he hated to talk to anybody, let alone women, girls, women, whatever. He
Yeah.
wasn't going to like have a conversation with anybody. So, but me and my buddies, knowing that he looked just like Tom Cruise, we would take him to a bar in Dallas and we would put him like right next to the bar, and girls would just come around him. And then as he wanted to talk to him, it worked out great for us. So just a little side story.
Yeah, that's kind of, I'm like him, right? Like,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah, like nobody thinks I'm like
Mm-hmm.
the goofy little nerd that just kind of watches YouTube and looks up
Yeah.
stuff and writes stuff. And, you know, when I have my kids, I do my kid mom things, and, you know, like going out into the world and getting peoply with the people for fun isn't just isn't what I do.
So you're not okay, all good.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to meet people as well. And then when I do meet people, I usually it's like the center of attention person that's willing to come and talk to me or whatever. And then that ends up being usually not a good idea. That's probably,
okay.
Yeah. So
that brings up a good point for like people that are in sales that are more introverted. Like you're obviously very successful in sales and you're introverted. You've found a way to like overcome it in the moment in order to be the person you need to be in the moment to do the business, it sounds like.
Yeah. So like at open houses, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go put the show on. And when I'm done with that show, I'm exhausted. I am I'm so tired because I'm functioning at like this crazy level of happiness and joy and feature and benefiting and, you know, talking to people, which I find okay and easy if it's about work and we're all there to talk about work things, right? But it's a show. It's a show. Like, come to my house, I have sweatpants on, no makeup, and I'm like, hi.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's going to be good for people to hear, because I think about that a lot in like the type of business that I'm in and watching other people try to do the type of business I'm in. And what I find is that they don't project properly and they're not interesting. You know, they just don't, for lack of a better term, they don't perform. Like it's monotone. They just dial, what do you call it? Dial it in, call it in.
Dial it in.
Yeah. Just going through the motions, but not putting any effort into it. It's kind of like watching a singer perform that's world famous, and they don't feel like they really need to do it like it's on the record or whatever, because I'm such and such and so and so. But some salespeople, I think they just, for whatever reason, they just dial it in. Nobody's told them that, hey, you're on stage. Like I teach that all the time.
Yeah, you're performing. You're like comedian usually, and that's kind of like the persona I take on. You know, I usually have a few jokes and cut up. Because I
like how you say that. I usually have a few jokes. You know?
I do.
I usually have a few jokes. Like,
and then, I do.
Yeah.
My draw. I do. I have a few jokes. And it's just because a lot of times, if you look at my social media and you see how opinionated I can be, and then if you see I'm not with your political party, like they're forming opinions, right? And that's really what it's there for people to do for the most part.
Right.
So that they can look you up, see you're a real person, you have family, interests, hobbies, you know, but even if it's not a client, people I'm dating or whatever, they form this opinion, and then it's like you're like this on a pedestal thing.
Right.
You have to bring it down. Like,
sure.
There's going to be screw ups here from time to time. Right. Let's get grounded. Let's access some humanness. Let's, I have humility. I'm a human being. I'm a mom. I'm a single mom. I do the single mom stuff. I'm not strutting this house, in heels and whatever every day.
Right. Sure.
Normal.
Sure.
And so you kind of, and even if they have a negative perception, you kind of have to get to that immediately. If they, you come in and you try and get everybody grounded, comfortable, on the same page, and then what questions you have for me?
Sure. Well, so I'm going to summarize some of the things that we've gone over today, just so people key in on some of the things. But mental toughness is something we talked about a lot.
Yeah, it's really important. Your emotional stuff and your mental stuff, getting a grasp on who you are. If you're functioning in the world, not coming from authenticity and who you are, you're not going to see your mistakes. You're not going to be able to read a room. A lot of it is just getting real and knowing where you are coming from at all times, so that you can receive where somebody else is coming from. So,
yeah. And we've talked about gain agreement. We've talked about minor yeses. We've talked about voice inflectuation. We've talked about immediacy when you get a lead. That's really important.
If you don't learn that, if you really do not learn that, you are kidding yourself. That phone call is important. It doesn't matter how many drip campaigns, emails, texts, whatever, they do not know who you are in 5 minutes. So you have to call them when they remember and know and are in full awareness that they were searching for a home and contacted, went on your site or your funnel or whatever to do it.
And you've also mentioned performance in the time, like when you're in front of somebody, when you're on the phone, you're performing, like you're trying to get their attention. And then the other thing that you said was I have to prove I'm a person to them, and I like that.
Yeah, you have to prove you're a human to them, because until then you're a realtor or you're the person on the pedestal or whatever, or you're the person not affiliated with their political party, or there's a lot of stuff you don't even know you're having to overcome, and you have to
that brings up a really, really good point, because people, when they're in sales, they work in a vacuum. Like they sit there and they think that they're talking to like a clean slate prospect. Like, oh, this is the first time you've ever bought a house. This person might have bought 7 houses.
Yeah.
And they might have some really bad baggage with real estate agents that they've used.
Yes. That so many of them hate us. I promise you, the vast majority of people do not like us. They don't want to use us. There's a lot of information available. The only thing they want us for is to do their paperwork a lot of the time. And so, you have to kind of demonstrate in and this is the other thing that can get challenging, because people are going to come at you a lot because they're emotional and scared and things like that. And you have to absorb it and then be like, so what I'm hearing you say is that you had a problem with an agent not listening to you last time you worked with them. Am I correct? Yes. All the wrong listings, wouldn't, and so it's like you're absorbing and trying to bring it back a little bit.
Now, what I heard you do just then, breaking down defenses and overcoming objections, because they're objective to you because they've had that bad experience, and you're breaking down their defenses. And then also I hear what you're doing is you are agreeing with them that they had like now you're on the same side of the table as they are, and you both hate that real estate agent that did them wrong. And so
well,
now,
ethically, I cannot say that. However,
oh, sorry. Okay. Pardon me. I'm not in your business, so I don't know all the
so
rules
no,
or
you just
whatever. But
do like you can either do the feel, felt, found, or
yeah.
You know, you can just listen and absorb what they're saying, and you know, you can bring up instances of hearing that too, and offer, you know, tell them what your own process is. Like that's when you get to kind of blow your own horn, right? At that point is when you can be like, well, I've been an agent since 2013 and I sell this many houses a year and blah, 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 blah. And I have this many ratings and things like that. That's when you can go in and do something like that. And then reassure them that that will be listening to them say is going to be the number one thing. And then you set up, okay, this is going to be our follow-up plan. And mine, what I usually tell them is like, if I'm awake, I'll answer you. If I'm awake and I can, I'll answer you, you know. Other than that, you know, we can set up your favorite time, like every Friday, and we can talk about this, or, you know, something that makes them feel in control of the process and like you'll be there for them.
Yeah. And you're making them feel important.
Yes.
Like they're important to you, which is huge. So Tanya, this is the part of the show where you get to promote whatever you want to promote.
My main business is a real estate agent. And under that, I sell business loans because they, you know, selling mortgage insurance and policies to protect your mortgage goes hand in hand with that. And so does the business loans when people need to do fix and flips and land loans and things like that. So it was an obvious side by side, right? Grant Cardone is like, if you have one hustle, bring on other side hustles to make sure they track your first hustle, right? So those are my two side hustles that track the first hustle.
Makes sense. Yeah,
he's kind of a smart dude. And then the other thing that I developed, like pretty much exactly almost the same as Marcy Locks, is my mind, body, and soul mentor coaching, where I bring everybody from burnout to bliss. So if you want to go to mindbodyandsoulmentor.net, and then I sell supplements and essential oils through that, and I use all of them, and I believe in all of them, and I don't take on anything like that. It is really how I live. It shocks the crap out of people when they're like, you really use this stuff, you really drink this stuff, you really are diffusing the house and Palo Santo oil. Yeah, because I don't know if you're a bad guy or not yet, you know, like so I really do. It's just my life. It's how I live. And so that is my brand with that. So that's what I do. Oh, and I have an event planning company. Yeah.
Good deal. I do. Well, and we'll put links on it.
Pardon me?
Yes, you do. We'll have like your website link in there so people can get in and see everything that you do. Because I think you like host wedding receptions. Is that right?
Yeah, I have an event planning company. Yes. So that was one of my companies.
And that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I do all that. Okay. And that's one of those things, like, you know, when we were talking about when people think, oh, you know, you can't do this. Like, how can you be an event planner? Well, what do you think realtors do? What do you think?
Open house is an event,
what do you think? What is different? I have a bride and a groom getting married. They need a venue, a caterer, cake, DJ. And I get that. I'm the conduit for all that. As a realtor, I have buyers, and I'm getting them a home, insurance, a title company, a lender. I'm doing this. It's the same job. It's just a different kind of fun. It's a different kind of fun.
Sure.
So,
okay. So I'll go ahead and promote what I do.
I am John the Sales Warrior Sansoni. I've been professionally selling successfully for 34 years. What can I teach you? How to prospect, present, follow up, and most importantly, how to close. I have a 3-day masterclass that include motivation and the mental tools to succeed in business and sales. My course includes worksheets, audio, video, and can be taken in 30 action blocks. Also included, how to have greater confidence. My course should be $400. If you get it today, $24.95. And included my book for free. Once purchased, you'll get free monthly inspiration from me. Just go to saleswarriorsinspire.phonesites.com and order yours today. That's it. Back to the show.
John, that sounds amazing. Somebody should really give you a call because it sounds like you're offering a lot of value to salespeople out there that they could learn from.
Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, I'm just trying to be inspirational and give back. I mean, I feel like the world and everything has given me a lot. So I'm just really trying to give back. And that's kind of what drives me to do it. Tanya, wonderful to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Tanya, again, great having you on. So much fun. I feel like there was a lot of inspiration and just information given to salespeople, because I feel like people in the sales business, I mean, you got to have mental toughness, and a part of like managing through the tough times is being inspired. Like that's how you keep people going, because it's really, it's tough. There's a lot of ups and downs in business. Is there anything in particular like you'd like to add as we get ready to say goodbye for the show?
Yeah, you just made me think of something that I really pretty much live by is like,
can you hear me okay?
Yes. You just made me think of something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually live by this, and it is that inspiration is temporary. It's so temporary, and it's the dedication and the process that you go through every day that's going to get you through everything. Because if you're always looking for that free energy or that inspiration, you're going to be having so many pitfalls. So your business will be like this because you're waiting for inspiration all the time instead of just having the dedication the process that you do every day, like clockwork, no matter what, putting one foot in front of the other each day, brushing your teeth, putting your deodorant on, calling your leads, So I've experienced that by screwing up, right? So the money goes away if you're constantly looking to be inspired. You have to just do the work. You have to just do the work.
I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, it's when you're in motion that the emotion will come.
Oh yeah, that comes behind you. Like when you finally win, right? Like when you finally win, and then it'll propel you more, and then you can do more, and you can take more, and all of a sudden you have this capacity for more, and you can give more, so you can receive more.
Agreed. Well, again, fun having you on. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So if you want to say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Awesome. And John the Sales Warrior, another episode wrapped for Sales Warrior War Room. Cheers, everybody.